Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to Love It, Thank It, Bring It. This is our live weekly webinar series where we live the I Have Today way, living intentionally with passion and purpose in every area of our life, every day of our life. And what we do here on this series is we take on one new topic every week. I talk about how that's showing up in your life, and then I give you 3 steps, tips, tools, techniques, strategies, and ways to create awareness about that and how you can turn that around in your life and make it so that it's working for you versus against you. And a lot of these topics are topics that we don't even have any conscious awareness that they're showing up, but they are. And when we take on the one topic and we implement the strategies and we work on it for 1 week, what happens is we replace old habits with new habits, create healthier triggers in our minds, and keep that positive momentum going. And it's by doing that we are, hey Mac, how are you? We are able to create that positive momentum. And by creating that positive momentum, that's what leads to lasting permanent change, which is all so good. That's what we all want, right? We don't want to just study things or read things or take courses and then instantly forget about them and not have them have a permanent effect or impact on our lives. So that's why this is structured this way. So last week, what I talked about, if you weren't here, first of all, if you're new, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Second, if you have been here before, I want to say thanks and welcome back. Thank you for your support. Love you, and I love having this platform to be able to communicate with you and educate and inspire you. So it moves me like you can't believe. So anyway, last week was January 2nd. It was our first webinar of the year. And the topic I picked was, the title was 15,509 days. That's not enough. And what it was an homage to my mom. And that's the number of days that she was alive. And that happened to be my 15,509th day of life. So that was the official moment I outlived my mother. And she died so young, such a beautiful woman. And what I did is I now consider January 2nd, 2018, my second birthday. But I talked about 3 of the top 3 lessons that I learned from her in her short time on life, the powerful impact that she had on me. So what happened was the overwhelming outpour of support and responses blew me away. I got so many texts, so many emails, so many private messages, so many public messages of love and support from all of you. And I just want to say a heartfelt thank you. I'm choking up right now. It really meant a lot to me that you were so moved by it. And I hope that if your mom is alive, that you take the opportunity to tell her you love her, pay attention to the lessons that she's taught you. And if she is not alive, think back on those special gifts that she bestowed upon you and the lessons you've learned from her, and understand that your relationship with her does not end just because she's physically not here anymore. You still can have a relationship with her. I have a relationship with my mother. She shows up all the time in extraordinary, very powerful ways, including the day before I did that webinar. She showed up in such a big way, and she moved mountains and used people to get me a video message of her. It was crazy. So that's possible for you. And this is a lot of the work that I do that I've talked about in the past. So if you're new here, I have done webinars and blogs on this. Pay attention to the signs. You're never alone. There's a list of them. So go on my site at dianeforster.com, browse around and look at some of them, and listen to and pay attention to the signs, because you are being communicated with, and you can still feel the love and support and still have that relationship. So this week is our 33rd webinar, and I thought, fair is fair. I want to pay homage to my dad, who is alive and well and thriving, thank goodness. And while I was able to talk about the 3 lessons that I learned from my mom, the top 3 lessons, which were forgiveness, gratitude, and fun, I've learned many lessons from my dad as well. And I thought, I want to share those with you because they were really, really powerful and impactful lessons. I still continue to learn from him, but these were 3 really good ones. So what I want to say is the first lesson I learned from my dad is this: don't ever be afraid to make a change. And by the way, I hope my dad is on the webinar. In fact, give me 1 second because I want to put the chat box on here. And on Facebook too. I see some of your comments there, but feel free to add more comments. So hang on, give me 1 second. Let me put the chat. Okay, chat box is on. So if you're in the webinar, say hello to me, okay? And I actually think my dad's on. So hi, Dad, if you are. So here we go. So the first lesson I heard is learn from him is don't ever be afraid to make a change. All right. So my father had over 50 jobs in his life, 51 to be exact. In fact, I just recently asked him to send me a list. And here it is. Here is a list of all the jobs my dad had in his life. Unbelievable. 9 of these jobs that he had in his life were before the ripe old age of 18, before he went into the Navy for 5 years, but blew me away at all the places that he worked in his life. And what a lesson for not being afraid to make a change. And what I wanted to say is he didn't sit around and wait for things to be handed to him because they weren't coming. They weren't going to be handed to him. So he went out and he hustled and he did what he had to do to make money and to survive. And so I can remember a time of my life as being a young girl where I didn't notice him around a lot. You know, he just wasn't around a lot. And that's because he was working up to 3 jobs to provide for our family, to put food in our mouths and put a roof over our head and do whatever he had to do to take care of us and the family and do whatever was necessary to keep going. And we moved around a lot. I lived in Brooklyn, Staten Island, and then several places in Long Island over our lives. But what he was doing is we moved around a lot because he was always trying to make a better life for us and provide for us that way. And he wasn't afraid to take risks and make changes. And I will always be grateful to you for that, Dad. I totally would be. And so the lesson I learned from him is to be fearless and to take risks. I learned that from my dad. What a valuable lesson, right? All right. Lesson number 2. This is a good one. This applies to all kinds of relationships. Okay. Hi, guys. I see you on the webinar. Lesson number 2 is accept love that is expressed to you no matter what the form. All right. So my father's father, my grandfather, died when my father was young. So obviously I never knew him and he wasn't around very long. And so my dad was a young boy when he passed away. And my father had 2 older sisters and he was the youngest by 9 years, significantly younger. And so his only real role models were his brothers-in-law. And both of these men, first of all, they died young, but while they were alive, these men were not emotionally demonstrative. They did not express love in any way. They were very shut off men and very cold men. I don't mean to insult them, but that's what they were. So he grew up thinking that expressing the words "I love you" was a sign of weakness. You know, he's just a result of his environment. And so he didn't begin saying the words "I love you" to me. Oh, hey, Madeline, I see you. He did not say those words "I love you" to me until I was 24 years old. And I remember the moment vividly. And in fact, I write about that powerful, beautiful story in my book. It's in my story chapter about it because it had such a profound effect on me. I mean, I never heard those words from him before. And so a couple things I want to say about that. Ever since that day, he said those words every day since. So not a time goes by where we don't talk to each other, where we don't end it with, goodbye, I love you, and, hello, I love you. So those are words that he expresses easily and effortlessly now. And so, but what he did do when we were young is he would have fun with it. He would come home, he would buy us gifts. He would buy us presents and flowers and candies and games and stuff like that. And he would tell us stories. And one of the fondest memories I have, and I don't know if I'm really remembering it or if it's just been told and the recordings are there, but he used to like to take those old audio recorders, those reel-to-reel recorders, and with my sisters, and I have two sisters, and they, the four of us would sit around and we would sing songs into these recorders. And he would say, you know, and up next is Diane Forster and Arlene Forster and Cheryl Forster. And he would go, like it was the crowd in the microphone. You know, you do that in the microphone, like a big crowd cheering us on. And it was a lot of fun. And I remember saying, you know, me saying it and my sister saying, you know, I don't want to, but very fun memories. And so the reason why I want to share that with you is because that was his way of expressing love. And one of the other things was, despite the pleas for us to not be disappointed because things would, there wouldn't be as many Christmas presents under the Christmas tree. Every year there was plenty under the Christmas tree. And so the point I want to make is I never once in my life felt like I wasn't loved or that I needed more. He certainly provided that. And so he expressed love his way, and I knew that he loved me always. And so the lesson that I learned is to accept people just as they are and accept love in all forms. And I learned that from my dad. Very powerful lesson. And I think we can all think about that and take that in, you know, how people express love. So, I've talked about expectations in the past on different webinars and the level of disappointment we can feel from people when we have certain expectations of them. And that's us expecting them to behave in a way that we want them to behave instead of the way that's appropriate for them. And it's by allowing us to just accept everything the way it is that we can enjoy and embrace their gifts and grace. So that was lesson 2. All right, lesson number 3 is actions speak louder than words. I learned this from my dad. My dad is a doer. Clearly you saw his resume, but he lives his life so big and loud. He is enjoying his retirement, very well-deserved retirement, so much. He's traveling all over the world. He's got a girlfriend he's had for years now. They travel all over the world. He's been in a weekly dance class for about a decade now that he enjoys. He's volunteered at the airport in the information area before, so he loves helping people. He golfs, and then he and his girlfriend, they go out all the time. They go to happy hours. Like, they've got a list of happy hours that they're working their way through. They go to shows, they go to dinners, they go to plays, they go out with friends, but they really, he does not sit still for long. He just loves to be on the go, and he lives his life in action doing what he loves. And he just makes things happen. And so many people say, your dad has quite the life. And the truth is, my dad has quite the life. Yes, he does. He lives his life that way. And so what a shining example for me and for my sisters and for others to witness him embracing his life so much. He's going to be 80 this year, and he's thriving and doing amazingly well. And so we should all be living quite the life. He is not what people would consider wealthy, but he is so rich in his love for life. And truly, you cannot put a price tag or a value on that. So I learned to live my life in action from my dad. All right. So isn't it nice that I get to pay homage to him while he's alive, right? What about your parents? Are they still alive and living? What would it feel like for you to do something like this for your mom and dad, and let them know how much you love them and how much they've taught you along the way? It would be such a gift. They would be blown away. And I would love to know if you do it, how you do it, when you do it, how the response was. Please send me your comments either here and on Facebook. You can email me at info@DianeForster. I want to hear these stories. It means a lot to me. And I want to say that our teachers are everywhere. I consider every not even my own book, but I consider every book I read, every webinar I watch, every conference I attend, every online program that I buy, everything, I consider that to be a teacher of mine. That if I could get one idea or one lesson out of it, it was totally worth my time. And everybody has something to teach everybody else. And so, but our greatest teachers are the ones that gave us life. They're the two that are at the top of the list. So look to them and remind yourself of the gifts you've received from them. So important, and it means so much to them. And it's even the painful lessons too. Listen, there was plenty of pain along the way, plenty of lessons along the way, right? But they teach us so much as well. And so you are who you are today because of all of it, every bit of it. And there's no right, no wrong, no good, no bad, just perfect imperfection. And that's such a good thing. So let me give you the affirmation statements and my quote and tell you what I'm doing as an offer for you, as an opportunity for you to really set yourself up for success in 2018. You know, last year was the start of the year. The first week is always kind of like, you know, let's get back in the mode after the holidays. This is the week that people are like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be in action. Right? Live your life in action like my dad taught me. All right. So the statements are, the affirmation statements. Love it is, I love my dad for all of his strength and guidance. I love my dad for all of his strength and guidance. What do you love your dad for? Thank it. I am grateful for all the lessons my dad taught me, even the tough ones, like the time he took my car and hid it from me. That was such a good lesson. I am grateful for all the lessons my dad taught me. So many good ones. Bring it. I move fearlessly in my life because of my dad's guidance and support. I move fearlessly in my life because of my dad's guidance and support. Okay. The quote is, any man can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad. And my dad sure is special. That was by Ann Geddes. Okay. So, couple things. If you like this content, you might like my, hang on, and then I'll tell you about the upcoming webinars too. If you like this, you might like the one from last week, which is called 15,509 Days. That's Not Enough. And that's the top 3 lessons I learned from my mom. Lots of good nuggets in there. And then 3 things you need to give up to be happy. This one is so good, you guys. These can be found on my website at dianeforster.com. My blog, go to my blog. They're all there. And there's also links to the webinar in the blogs. They're all tied together. So, and you can look around and see other ones there. And then what I want to do for you for the year to set you up for success this year is I took a look at, I reevaluated everything I'm doing too. And I do my goals. I do my goals every single year. I made a new vision board on January 1st, and I looked at the year and sort of wrote out what it is I want to accomplish this year, personally, professionally, physically, you know, spiritually, all of that stuff. And I also asked my clients, you know, what worked, what didn't work. And so my question to you is, for you in 2017, what worked and what didn't work? Did you accomplish all the goals that you wanted to accomplish in that year? And if you didn't, it's totally okay. This happens to all of us. What happens is we tend to overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but underestimate what we can do in 3 years. That's a direct quote from Vishen Lakhiani. I saw him speak, and so he teaches that in his book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And so I asked my clients that, and I said, what was some of the frustrations that you had? And let me know if you share these as well, because this is what happens. They felt like they couldn't get a handle on their focus and their clarity. Like they felt like they were too all over the place. And because of that, they felt like they lost a lot of business and lost a lot of opportunity. They really did in a lot of different ways. And so I took all of that information, and in part of my new program, my coaching program for this year is a first step in the strategy session. And I still call it a super focused strategy session, where we look at all the areas of your life, but I did it differently this time. And this is what I want to say to you. This is for you if you want to have crystal clear clarity on your messaging, your ideal client, and then take into account all of your unique and right positioning pieces. So what you're so uniquely skilled at in the area of business, in the area of whatever it is in your personality. So for instance, for me, I figured out that I'm good at seeing, I see the gaps, the solutions, and the opportunities in not just in my own life, but for other people too. Like that's something unique and special to me. But I also, have different passions. So I have a passion for doing what I'm doing right now, right? I have a passion for writing. I have a passion for the beach. I have a passion for cooking. I have a passion for my kids. I have a passion for creativity. I have a passion for different things like that. So it's important that we envelop and include all of the pieces of us into our unique positioning and our messaging. And so with my clients, they were sort of all over the place. So this is what I did, and this is what I'm offering for you. In that super focused strategy session, it's the 8 must-know questionnaire to identify your intention. And this is a list of it. And these are the 8 questions you have to answer. And they're so specific, but it's such a phenomenal way for you to get such clarity and so much confidence. So when you're out meeting people, you're looking for someone to date, you're looking for new prospects, new clients, you're networking, you're speaking at an event, you're leading a meeting, you're running a program, whatever it is that you're doing, you are so confident and clear because you literally have tunnel vision, no other distractions. You know who you are, your clear, defined messaging, and you are now a magnetic attractor to the right people into your life. You don't have to struggle to do it. They come to you, man. It's so easy and fun. So what I'm offering is, it's on the screen on Webinar Jam. I'll put a link to it on Facebook. I'm doing this for a limited time. I'm only doing this for 24 hours for a limited number of people because my schedule is getting really booked, and this is such a fantastic value. So it's valued at $850 to do this whole process where you get all this clarity in the questionnaire that we do in the evaluation part, and then the must know. So what you're going to get is, when you're done, you're going to get a paragraph that is your intention. You get to read this every single morning. Every single day, you get to start out with clarity and focus. You don't even have to think about what's the deal? What's going on with me? What am I supposed to be doing today? You're going to know what you're supposed to be doing because you're going to read that. And then you're going to say, well, what are the two or three actions I need to take today to make that happen? And let me tell you something. I am so confident that this process is going to work for you. I'm going to offer you a money back guarantee. I promise you this is going to work. If you do this process, you get your intention written out correctly, magic is going to happen. More business is going to come into your life. More love is going to come into your life. And you're going to see, this is what one of my other gifts is, the magnetic manifestation that I do, and understanding the art of law of attraction and how that works with people. And not only for myself, but for my clients. I do it for my clients, and I teach them how to do this. And I would love to do it for you. So if you're on Webinar Jam, all you have to do is click on the link. It says, I need that right now. Click on the link. It's an $850 value, and I'm doing it tonight for $297, okay? That's it. So I'm going to put a link on Facebook for it as well. And think about who you could share it with who would really benefit from something like this. If you know someone who's struggling with their own business, they can't get clear on their messaging, they can't find love. This is another big thing. You can't find love, that one, well, you haven't identified him, or her. You haven't gotten really clear on what's that like. What is life like with that person? What does it feel like with that person? The day-to-day. I'm telling you, these 8 questions will get you so clear on it. And so anyway, again, $850 value for this super focused strategy session, answering the must-know questionnaire to identify your overall intention for 2018. This was my webinar for tonight. I want to thank you guys for being here. Next week, we're going to kick it back into gear. You know, this was homage to my dad. I did homage to my mom last week. And now we're going to get back into really implementing strategies in the I Have Today way to get 2018 setting you up for success for the entire year. All right. On that note, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Look for the link to the offer on Facebook in the comments section. I'll have it there. It's here on Webinar Jam. I love your hearts, your comments, your likes, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Take care.